This is Jack Moelmann once again, and here we are in O'Fallon, Illinois, in my home. It's the 7th of August, 2012. We have another young person with us. His name is Mike Cierski. I'm not too sure exactly where he lives, up in Calumet City.
Yep.
Is that about right? And about 2001, ATOS formed a position or established a position for a youth representative to the board. He was the second one. The first person didn't last very long. He resigned, and Mike became the youth representative to the board from 2001, or 2002 actually, to 2005. Then, because of his great accomplishments on the board, he, as a student rep, he was elected by the membership to be a full-time member of the board of directors. So, Mike, we welcome you here, and maybe we'll get some inspirational interest from you, comments from you. Just when did you become interested in music at all? Obviously, you've got to be somewhat interested in music, otherwise you wouldn't be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, that's true. My first experience with music itself was actually at my church in Calumet City. Sitting down in the pews with my family, heard the pipe organ for the first time, and it shook the room. And just the beautiful choruses of angels. Ever since then, you just develop an ear and just a love of music. Soon after that, I was around 3 years old. Soon after that, I was just I guess a wild kid all over the place during church. I could not sit still, so my dad would take me upstairs to the choir loft. And up in the choir loft, I would see the organist. Her name was Laura Montine, and she would be playing the organ. She was absolutely a wonderful organist. And what I would do, I would get one of the choir books, and I would sit with my dad, and I made sure I turned to the page in which she was on. I had no idea what I was looking at, so I decided to connect the dots to the notes. And in fact, a true story, a couple years ago, I actually found that old hymnal with my scribble on there, connecting the dots. I thought that was pretty funny. But ever since then, I just had this passion for music. I cannot live without it.
So when did you get into like playing the theater organ or playing at all?
Around the same time, there was a pizza parlor, an organ pizza place called Pipes and Pizza in Lansing, Illinois. Dave Wickerham played there. I was
still
around.
there? Is it still there?
Yes, it is. The building is still there. It is called Beggar's Pizza, and Mr. Glenn Toller actually works on the organ right now. Is doing absolutely a fabulous job, and you can hear him every Tuesday and Friday nights over there. Around the same time when I was 3 years old, that's when Pipes and Pizzas was in full operation. Every night it was literally packed to hear Dave play and other organists that came in from the area. It's just, I just remember being scared for the first time because the organ was so loud, and again, it shook the building a lot more than my church did. And to see the organ being raised up from the pit was just absolutely a wonderful experience. I remember I was sitting with my grandma one day, and and she wore her, I called her silver earrings, her diamond silver earrings. And I just remember just sitting next to her, just waiting for the organ to start. It's stuff like that. It still melts my heart today, because that's when I started to love music.
If you hear some strange noises in the background, it's not the neighbors or anything. It happens to be my dog that's underneath the table deciding to chew on one of those milk bones, so we'll just let her enjoy it. Okay, you became the youth rep in 2002. How old were you then?
2002, I was just about 20 years old. I'm 19 years old.
Okay, about that time we really hadn't clearly defined exactly what the youth rep was and what the job was. What did you envision the job to be?
Well, I envisioned the job to be that the youth representative be the voice of the next generation of theater organists and theater technicians. And it is a true fact that the golden generation is dying out, and we have to preserve the future. I'm a big history buff. I love history a lot, and in fact, I'm a history teacher too. It's just so precious for me for people to continue on traditions that was left before them. It's kind of like passing on the Prometheus flame to the next generation. It was my job not to let that flame burn out and help to pass it along to the next generation.
Okay, you made one major accomplishment, and that was the development of something. I'll let you tell what it was and where you think it is today.
When I was in high school, I went to a camp called The Art of Music at Concordia University. That's the first time which I was amongst my peers for music. It was a music camp, and a lot of the people there were church musicians too, and there was a lot of organists there. For the first time, I just felt welcomed in the thing that I love, just music. I felt welcomed for the first time. And ever since then, I've been thinking, ever since I got voted onto the board for the youth representative, I've been thinking how to get the youth involved a little bit more. What would turn on that switch to make them love the theater organ and its music? So I had an idea of having a summer camp for the theater organ world. ATOS has never had anything like that before in their 50+ years of history. So starting in around 2002, just coming up with ideas, talking to professionals, talking to the board. After my youth representative term ended, I was elected to the board. At first, I did not want to do it. My mom was terribly ill with Alzheimer's, but it was because of you, Jack, and Gus Franklin said, "You just do it. You got something good going here. Let's just keep going with it." So I decided to bite the bullet and do it, and I was really happy that I was able to help establish the theater organ summer camp. That's been going on for probably 6 years now.
So you've read about it. Do you think it's doing pretty good? Is it accomplishing what you thought it was?
Yes, it is accomplishing what I thought it would do. I always see a lot of room for improvement. What I would like to see personally in the future, not just ATOS have summer camps, but different chapters of ATOS have the summer camp on the same weekend. So we get a vast more students, and also we can expand globally too.
They had to change the name. It can't be called a camp anymore.
Oh, that's right. We call it the theater organ
adventure.
Yeah,
Youth adventure.
Youth adventure. That's right.
So, what do you? Okay, now you play the organ yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider yourself a public performer?
My last public performance was in 2006, and after that, I took a break to finish school. And again, my mom was terribly ill, and she was getting worse. So, I either do what I love to do or take care of family. So I decided to take care of family. Currently, I'm a master's student at Vandercook College of Music, getting my master's in music education. So hopefully soon I'll be hitting the keys again.
Well, now, are you into the technical part of this thing, how they work and fixing them? Are you into that side at all?
Yes. When I was a junior in high school, I worked for Burkhouse Organ Company, and I did that every summer. Probably for close to 10 years I've been doing that. I still volunteer at the Rialto Square Theater in Joliet with maintenance on that pipe organ. And also at my church I have a Moeller pipe organ too. And I do regular maintenance on that.
Well, I always like to ask whoever we have, be they organists or technicians, what's the worst experience you ever had in the music activities that you've done? Just something that you would hope that would never happen again. You don't have to mention necessarily where it was, but if you want to, fine. Just briefly, what was the worst experience you've ever had?
The worst experience I ever had musically, and I have to say in my career, back in 2009, I was hired mid-year for Thornton Fractional South High School as their choir director. The current choir director was not doing his job as what he was supposed to do. And then I was hired mid-year, and we had competitions coming up just 2 months later. So I really had to work my butt off to get those kids in shape for competition. So we worked during the day and also after school every day for 2 months, and we were able to get a Division I, which is the highest ranking that you can get for the competition. The day after graduation, I got the pink slip layoff because there's not enough students in the program next year to order to hold the choir. So I was really sad to go, and I guess that's just business.
Okay, what is it that you would look to the future in the music world that you would want to do, would want to accomplish, an ultimate dream, if you will, maybe something you could never achieve, but something you'd like to do if you had the possibility and the resources? Just the pie in the sky that when you got there you'd say, I arrived.
Well, being inspired by you, Jack, with the whole Radio City Music Hall, I thought that was absolutely fantastic. A lot of my non-organ friends, non-theater organ friends just really like what you did. So, and you say it best, you just got to live your dream. And I don't think my dream will ever be complete. It involves time travel. And I would love to go back in the day where the Chicago Stadium was being installed and played for the first time, just to hear the instrument, just to meet the original installation crew, sit down with Al Malingard and just have a lesson. I was fortunate enough to have theater organ lessons with some great people, John Ferguson, Jelani Eddington, to name a few. And not to mention Jim Paddock, and I sat down with Lee Maloney and Dennis Scott a few times. Just great experiences. So, but I know the organ is no more, but it still lives in my heart.
Well, let's see, you're 30 years old?
Yes, I am.
What would you say to the younger people? We're sort of bringing this to an end here. What would you say to the younger people to get them inspired into the organ, if you will? I guess they get inspired in music in the rock business because there's enough of that. But if you wanted to get young people into ATOS, into listening to the theater organ, maintaining it, what advice would you give them? Or how would you have them approach the subject?
A lot of the kids nowadays at which I teach love to go back in the past, especially for like fashion and styles. The 70s and 80s are really popular amongst teenagers. You can see them in their dress, and the sunglasses that they wear and everything. What I would tell them is that in order to go on to the future, you must look at your past. And as I mentioned before, there's something called a Prometheus flame. Now this flame is the flame of knowledge. And it's up to the next generation to keep that flame lit. And it's also up to the next generation to pass on that flame to the next generation after that. If it blows out, then history is lost and nobody will know anything about it. It's kind of the same scenario as Route 66. Currently, right now, the girlfriend and I are taking a trip on Route 66 and just going through these old towns to see what was there. It makes my heart melt. I just love it so much. And to see the possibilities of the future of these parents bringing their 3-year-old down Route 66 to see the old theaters, the drive-in movies, to see the old hamburger hot dog joints. That's passing on the flame to the next generation. And I really hope that the next generation keeps their vow of just keep it going.
How far are you going to take your education?
Right now, I just completed 1 year's work of my master's, and hopefully I will plan plan-wise, get my PhD in ethnomusicology, which is study of cultural music.
Well, good. Well, listen, Mike, we want to thank you for all that you've done since you first got involved in this thing, and formally anyway in 2002, I believe it was, as the youth representative to the board. Your name still floats around out there,
Thank you.
and we wish you well in your educational experiences, and just you got a lot of years ahead, and I hope you accomplish some of what you've talked about.
Yes.
So, this is Jack Moelmann, August 7th, 2012.
Almost 10 p.m.
Almost 10 p.m. here in O'Fallon, Illinois, at my home, which is near St. Louis. And we're going to sign off and see everybody at the next video interview. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye.